starting to creep in. People not drinking out of a hydrogen water bottle over there. I just caught you. So this is awesome. I'll give it a minute for a couple more folks to get in here. What was amazing was we had so many of you guys participate in the sleep challenge. Some of you had the whoops, some didn't. There's some fascinating fact patterns that emerged from our sleep challenge. I just thought I would talk about those before we really get off the ground tonight. I think there were 6 major things that we saw outside of sleep medication, outside of, sleep supplements, like the free things that we did with our environment, and the things that we can really control that had the biggest impact on sleep, 20 to 28% increases in sleep scores. And just to review those, the 2 big ones, the biggest ones were no alcohol. I know a lot of you don't like to hear that. 2 glasses of wine or half a bottle of winers before bed. No alcohol. Stopping our food consumption 2 to 3 hours before bed. 2 hours seems to be enough time. So finishing your last meal 2 hours before bed. I know a lot of you guys are 9 to 5 or so. Trying to say that you're not going to eat 3 hours before bedtime is a big stretch. But 2 hours seemed to be the window that had a very positive impact on sleep. And then there were 4 or 5 other things that we did that had really demonstrative impacts on sleep scores in the whole community. So that was darkening the room, just spending a little extra time to make your room actually really dark, sort of surgically trying to remove all of the light from your room. Some of you guys even took electrical tape and put it over some of your fire alarm lights and some other lights in your room. I have electronic lighting in my room, so the switchers are kind of always on. It's amazing how little candle wattage it actually takes to release cortisol. So we spent time really darkening our rooms down. We unplugged electronics within 6 feet of our head. We stopped our screen time in bed. And we used a breath work technique with a 6-second inhale through our nose, a 3-second pause, and then a 6-second exhale through a straw. And then some people, we added contrast therapy. I use a sauna and a short cold plunge. If you don't have a sauna or a cold plunge, no big deal. You can just take a warm to hot shower, run the really warm water on yourself for a few minutes, and then end with 30 to 45 seconds of cold. That's it. Not your morning 3-minute cold shower, just 30 to 45 seconds of cold, and then dry off and then head straight to the bed. And those were the things that had really demonstrative impacts on sleep scores. A lot of you said they got tremendous support from the sleep formula that I formulated, which is magnesium, theanine, and melatonin. But there are people that don't do well with melatonin. So I made some other suggestions, the magnesium breakthrough, and some other suggestions, which are blends of magnesium, and other adaptogens that actually help you get into a really deep sleep. I think I was really surprised by how many people had sleep routines, some of them even using medication, that found those 5 things to be really, really helpful. Limiting or stopping alcohol, not eating within 2 hours of bedtime, darkening the room, bringing the temperature down, and I was talking like 68, 69 degrees, cooler than you think. Making sure that you had electronics unplugged 6 feet from your head, and the contrast therapy, doing a warm shower, moving it up to as hot as you can stand it, and then ending with 30 to 45 seconds of cold. So we bring down the core body temperature just a degree or 2 Celsius before we slide into bed. And what was really cool was we had a big baseline. We had thousands of people with these whoops on, so we were actually able to look at their baseline and see these jumps in sleep scores. So you know what a big data guy I am, and I think that you're about to be part of the revolution where big data is actually going to be more important than randomized clinical trials. To me, when you take 5 people and you stick them in a sleep study at University of Miami in sort of a dark, sterile kind of clinical environment, with a bed that they've never slept in before, and then you lay them down and you put electrodes all over their head, or you put one of those soft helmets on, and then you have electrodes all over your body, somebody looking at you through a 2-way mirror. I just personally don't think that that's indicative of sleep, and sometimes we take those studies and we extrapolate them out to humanity. What's happening now is we have the ability with things like 8 sleep mattresses and Whoops and Oura Rings and Fitbits and Apple iPhones to collect voluminous amounts of data on people in their natural environment. And to me, those are better, human environmental studies than randomized clinical trials. So, if you followed medicine for any period of time, you know that about every 10 years we just go through these cycles, right? I mean, we just left the war on fat cycle. And then we realized what a huge mistake that was. It actually led to increased rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, because we started to replace fat with sugar. We did the same thing with SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, using those to limit or mitigate depression, but realizing in the tail end we actually increase suicide rates, suicidal thoughts, and crushing levels of depression, as well as desensitized a lot of receptors, which took people a long time to get over. We did the same thing with amphetamines when we brought those in to solve issues like ADD and ADHD. We say, okay, the mind's racing. Let's put an amphetamine into the body, race the central nervous system to match the pace of the mind. And we realized that ended up not being the best choice either, because we were taking the system that wasn't broken and we were breaking it in order to match the system that was broken. So what I think is going to happen is, instead of going through these 10, 20-year cycles, we're going to get so much real-time data between the voluminous amounts of data collection capacity that we have now and AI's ability to process this data and create actionable results, that we can actually put to practice in our lives. I think you're going to, for the first time, see data start to circumvent modern medicine on everything from statins and SSRIs to corticosteroids and all kinds of other, medications, chemicals, and synthetics. So just super excited to be on this journey with you guys. Thank you guys for participating in the sleep challenge, those of you that did. Thank you guys for getting your Ultimate Human merch. I love seeing that. If I start seeing you post about it on, if you have a social media channel, Instagram or TikTok, and I start to see it on there, there's definitely going to be prizes for you guys, just helping me to get the word out. I want to grow the Rule Breakfast community. I want to grow our free challenges. I really want to continue to let this message get out to humanity. I know some of you guys have had really life-changing experiences with me, and I love every one of those, and it's chicken soup for my soul. So keep those stories coming, and keep helping me get the word out. So I know we really want to get to some questions. So let's start bringing people up on stage. Just remember my usual disclaimer: I am not a medical professional. I'm not licensed to practice medicine. I have to be cautious about answering medical questions. Don't construe what I'm telling you to be medical advice, because I am not a physician. I have a whole team of physicians that work for me at 10X Health. So if you have a specific medical question, I may refer it over there, but I will do my best to answer your question as honestly and thoroughly as I can. And secondly, let's try to keep it to one question per person so we can get through more questions. I think you'll be surprised that if you take the most pressing question that you have, and then you listen to some of the other ones, you'll find that the question that you didn't get a chance to ask was asked 2 or 3 minutes later by somebody else. There tends to be a general pooling of these types of questions. So we're going to get as thorough as we can. So again, guys, you can go to theultimatehuman.com, get your merch now. So I know some of you guys are wearing your hats, your Ultimate Human t-shirts. That's amazing. I'm coming out with more merch for women, and I'm really deep down the rabbit hole with the team right now on the cleanest fabrics that we can use, because the Ultimate Human is morphing into a chemical-free living line. This is going to be a really exciting launch for us for detergents, dishwasher soaps, household cleaning products, products for children that are very, very safe, and paraben and phthalate and BPA free, as well as the clothing. We're looking at what kind of dyes are used in our clothing, what kind of fabrics are used in our clothing. I want it to just be the cleanest brand overall. So let's start firing up some questions. This is my favorite part. This is where the rubber really meets the road, and while you guys, hi there, everybody's muted. There we go. You're unmuted
Hi.
now.
You hear
Hi
me?
there.
Hi. Number one, it's a blessing to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And you have an excellent way of explaining things where I understand. So I just want a general understanding. I've had gut issues all my life, and now I have a thyroid. And they took a biopsy and everything's fine, but it's 4.2 centimeters. And it's not hypo, it's not hyper. And I have my 10X blood work done, and the blood work's fine. The doctor's blood work's fine. So I kind of want to get an understanding, like, how did I get here? What should I
Hmm.
be looking for? Like the main components for me to kind of understand. Because when I asked them, they just said we're going to monitor it every 6 months to a year.
Hmm.
I kind of don't want to monitor it. I want to be proactive
Right.
and,
So,
kind of do
it,
my own research.
yeah, here's what I can tell you about the thyroid. First of all, there is something called benign thyroid adenomas. There are also benign pituitary adenomas, and benign adenomas in other areas of the body. Every once in a while, people get nodules in their lung, and they are benign. Lots of causes for these things, neurofibrillary tangles, clusters of blood vessels, but very often these are from, they have viral origins or heavy metal origins. So I personally would suggest a heavy metal toxicity test, or a test for Epstein-Barr virus, EBV, or a cytomegalovirus, CMV. Remember, when I literally just today had a meeting with our medical team. I was up at our headquarters in Miami, and I said, I wish when we approached human beings, right, and we began the diagnostic workup, that we would take a step back and we would assume the following three positions. Number one, let's assume that God did not make a mistake, meaning the body is acting properly. We just need to find out why it's behaving this way. You've heard me talk about this before. Is Crohn's disease an autoimmune disease where the body woke up one day and just started to attack the colon? Is Hashimoto's an autoimmune disease where the body woke up one day and began to attack the thyroid? Is Sjogren's a autoimmune disease where it woke up one day and manufactured antibodies to the lacrimal gland and in the eyes? Or is there a reason why the immune system was called to that location? Is it acting properly? And can we find out why it's attacking that tissue? Can we find out why it's in this area of the body? Because something calls the immune system. The immune system doesn't just show up unannounced. Like the police just don't walk through, kick in your front door for no reason. Somebody called them. There was an event that caused them to come, to be called to that location. And the immune system is generally no different. Yes, there are times where it does act abnormally, but if we start with the position that the body, God did not make a mistake. And secondly, we ask ourselves, what nutrient deficiencies could be causing this condition to exist? So the second thing we do is we look for nutrient deficiencies. With the thyroid, the most common nutrient deficiencies are these two things: selenium and thiamine. Those are very common nutrient deficiencies. Most people, very rarely do you have an iodine deficiency. That's also one of the deficiencies. So selenium, thiamine, and iodine can cause thyroid disruption. But the fact that you're actually not having hyper or hypo symptoms, you're not having symptoms with the signaling hormones like TSH, thyroid stimulating hormones, and that your feedback loop is working, meaning the way the thyroid works is it produces T4 hormone, and a little bit of T3, and then that T4 hormone goes down and passes through the liver. The liver converts it into T3. One type of T3 raises your metabolism, improves your metabolic rate, improves your body temperature. The other type of T3 goes back up and tells the pituitary there's enough hormone in the blood and it slows down its production. So there are these checks and balance systems in the body, and they're called feedback loops. There are positive
That's good
and
to
negative
know.
feedback loops. Yep.
Well, and I
So
want to say I saw Dr. Gandhi because I was shocked that he's by me on Long Island.
he is
So
my favorite.
he is a wonderful man. And I left there like saying, wow, I finally found someone that understands the connection.
No
And
question.
he went above and beyond. I was like beyond happy. So
He is
we're gonna
just an
work on
amazing human.
removing the metals in my mouth. So maybe that is
Oh, well, there you
big
go. If you've
issue,
got those
one of the
metals in
big
your mouth,
issues.
that proximity to the thyroid. In fact, if you looked at the nervous innervation of the thyroid in the jaw, you'd see a lot of common nerve root ganglion origins, right? And those pathogens travel along those origins. There are many, many pathways in the body. It was astounding how often I got censored on Instagram when I posted the story, when I posted the podcast with Dr. Gandhi, where a lot of mainstream medical providers were saying that the mouth has no connection to other areas of the body. I will tell you that is patently false. In fact, I'm waiting. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's Dr. Gandhi's handiwork right there. That's a little gross. People are like, oh. But you know, I had that tooth pulled, I had it cleaned, I had the zirconian implant put in, or the ceramic implant put in, and now I've got to go see him in another 2 weeks to have the actual cap put on there. Painless though. And the procedure was amazing. My wife, Sage, you guys might know through Instagram, she also has an L5S1 fusion that caused her a lot of back pain. In fact, I've been with her for 10 years. The surgery was 9 years ago. For the last 9 years, I've never not known her to be in some kind of pain, tolerable levels or intolerable levels, but never to zero until Dr. Gandhi got her wisdom teeth out.
Okay,
And
so that's the direction to go, and the nutrients and the metals, and start there. All
yes,
right,
ma'am.
thank you very
You're
much.
so welcome. Thank you for the kind words. Hey guys,
Hey. Hi, how are
how you
you?
doing?
Good. Um, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out how I want to ask my question because I didn't plan to be on this call.
Oh, you
Uh,
didn't? Okay.
not right at first. Um, so I am saving up to do the testing that you offer. So prior to that being like something that's fully accessible, my entire life I have struggled with gut related issues.
Hmm.
So when I was really young, um, started probably elementary school
Hmm.
all the way up through my early 20s, and I'm
Hmm.
almost 30 now. Um, I would wake up in the middle of the night with like burning sensation in the upper part of my abdomen, and it would be like a fire and spread all the way down. Got to the point where like I could time exactly when I need to get up to go to the bathroom, and
Yep.
it would just be diarrhea, vomiting simultaneously for hours. I learned like sugar tended to be something that would make it worse. So
Hmm.
diet changed drastically, lifestyle changed drastically, improved that I don't have that severe of issues anymore.
Hmm.
But I've never really gotten to what feels like the root of it. And I
Yeah.
still deal with like um not the healthiest relationship to food because I feel like every time I eat something, regardless of how clean it is, I feel sick. I
Yeah.
don't feel great or I get bloated. So without testing yet, what would be a recommendation? Because I'm not doing any supplementations right now.
Yeah. So three
Um,
things. Number one, the fact that you've had this for such a prolonged period of time is highly indicative that it is related to a genetic mutation, right? Because what happens is people have a consistency of symptoms over a long period of time, despite all the different interventions that they do. They go down food sensitivity, food allergy, gut biome, dietary changes, and they find that very little, if anything, helps. I mean, there are things that really exacerbate it, like sugar, and nothing that really takes it away. So this is where you start to realize that you are looking at a gut motility issue and not a contents of the gut or bacterial issue. And the reason why I say that is, when you've gone through the elimination diets and you've done the sensitivity testing, you've done the allergy testing, you've maybe even done some stool or other bacterial testing, you tried the probiotics, nothing is fixing the pace of the gut. You see, this is one of the things I talk about a lot. The human intestinal tract is like a 30-foot long conveyor belt. We put contents on it at one end when they exit the stomach in a very acidic environment, and it travels 30 feet and it exits the rectum in a very basic environment. And that 30-foot long conveyor belt has a certain pace that it is meant to move at. When you change the speed of that conveyor belt to fast, diarrhea, to slow, constipation, pausing intermittently causes contents to putrefy. When contents putrefy, they create excessive gas or bloating. And when contents putrefy, they also cause pain. The gut is very sensitive to being stretched beyond its normal diameter. This pain usually begins up right in the proximity of the stomach, not in the chest, but right below your rib cage. So to where your rib cage ends, kind of feels like somebody has your stomach in a fist. That's the exit of the stomach where food has a tendency to putrefy when the intestinal motility is not working. These people usually also have either anxiousness or anxiety. And it can be mild. It doesn't mean that you have panic attacks or things like that, but that you also know that you have mild anxiety or mild feelings of anxiousness. And they generally have poorer sleep patterns. I'm not saying terrible sleep patterns, but they generally do not have great sleep patterns. Okay, so there you go. So what is that brain? Your truth, teller is like, yep, that's her. So what is the connection here? Well, first of all, our neurotransmitters are made in our gut. So when we have poor gut function, we have poor neurotransmitter factories. So neurotransmitters like serotonin, the main driver of mood, is made from an amino acid called tryptophan. Take tryptophan, convert it to serotonin in the gut, travels up the vagus nerve, and creates mood. In almost every case where your gut is disrupted, your mood is disrupted, right? You can have a bunk toe and be in a great mood. You can be recovering from a broken wrist and be in a great mood. You can actually have mild pain in your back and be in a great mood. You usually cannot have gut disruption and be in a healthy, elevated emotional state. And the reason for that is the two are inextricably connected. They're connected. And they're connected through the same neurotransmitter cascade that creates mood is the same one that creates this peristaltic activity. So here's what I would suggest until you can, get the fiscal wherewithal to do the test. A B complex. Thorne makes a great B complex, THORNE. I don't have any affiliation with them. They just make an amazing B complex. Thorne B complex, Thorne 5-MTHF, Thorne 5-methylfolate, and Amra colostrum, AMRA. I think it's Amra colostrum. It is a form of mother's milk colostrum that is very, very soothing to the gut. Once we find out exactly what nutrients are missing, then we can really store the intestinal motility. But those are game-changing supplements for people with gut disruption, and they're very naturopathic supplements. Your body already has a complex of B vitamins, or we would not be having this conversation. Colostrum has a very, very low hyperallergenic profile, and methylfolate is one of the most necessary methylated nutrients in the human body. I would bet my entire career that you have a gene mutation called MTHFR. Welcome to the motherfucker club.
Everything else I've learned about the mutation from all of your content, I'm always like, when you talk and you tell, like, oh, this is what happens to these people, I'm like, that sounds really familiar. Yes. So I
it is amazing.
I'm excited
what
to
we
get
can
done though.
Yeah, amazing what we can do in the human body when we give it the raw material it needs to do its job. I mean, it really is a fascinating machine, but it doesn't run, without raw materials. It doesn't run without nutrients. I always use the plant analogy. It's the soil, not the plant, right? I mean, if we test and treat the soil, we will fix and have a plant that's thriving. It's just sadly we don't think about human beings like this anymore.
Thank
awesome,
you.
guys. Yeah,
And
very
for
welcome.
the test, that precision test.
Oh,
there's
yes.
There's I don't know, I don't know if this is something that's offered to the community. Is there any kind of like Rolbrekas discount, or is it just whatever the retail price is on the website?
Yeah, if you bought the previous test, you're going to get a credit back for that. And you know what? Stay tuned. Maybe what I'll do is I'll set up a discount code. I haven't talked to my management team about it yet, so wait to buy that. I'll set up a discount code for Rolbrekas so we can get a discount off of that too. All right.
Thank you, Gary.
You got it, guys.
Love you, brother. You're the best.
Oh, thank you. I love you guys too, man. Thank you for being Rolbrekas. So Mike said his mic's working. There we go.
I think it was the other mic though, Gary. So if you want to flip
mic.
him in, I'm cool with that. We're out here to take over the world. I mean, but does your team want to slip the other mic in that was
we'll
up
do
first?
You and then we'll go to the other mic.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Hey, I want to say thank you very much for your guidance last month in being from the HBOT and then that helping with the essential tremors and using the Vinia.
Yeah,
that was amazing. So I
I'm so happy to hear that, man.
Yeah,
oxygen and grapeseed extract, amazing, right?
It is like small changes can have such a big difference, but it's something if we're not aware, somebody's not bringing the message like you are. I mean, it's just so I appreciate it. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
My question is, so I've got the DNA test and then I got a micronutrient test, like a CMA test.
Yeah.
And so I found out I have a yellow MTHFR, red MTRR, and a red COMT. I'm hitting all the lights, man.
Yep. Poor sleeper, gut issues. Yep.
Oh, dude. Yeah. The surprising thing to me was that while I'm fine on B12, because I'm taking the 5-MTHF off. Anyways.
5-MTHF. Yep.
Yeah, that one. And let's see, the methyl B12, while I'm taking those and those are good, I was low on like B3, B6, B7, and B9, some other stuff.
So you want to take a B complex.
Okay, so just go with Thorne's B complex. I'll be going.
Thorne B complex. You add that and you're going to fill everything in, right? Cool. So the B complexes are all the cofactors, right? So, so what's really interesting about the human body is that we take waste from one cellular process, and it actually is the fuel for the next cellular process. And then we take that waste and we use it the fuel for the next cellular process. If you actually watch compounds go through the body, it's really, really fascinating to me. You know, piece of chicken breaks down into amino acids. Amino acids enter the blood. They actually go through the liver, get reassembled into other proteins. So you eat a piece of chicken, it shows up as collagen in the skin. You eat a piece of chicken, and the next thing you know, your body's making a red blood cell and a white blood cell and a natural killer cell for your immune system from the protein from the chicken, breaking down the building blocks. The B complex of vitamins is what helps this sequence of things to break down. So imagine things as unrelated as your white blood cell count, your red blood cell count, and your natural killer cells, this part of your immune system, being related to a deficiency in B vitamins, not allowing proteins to go into the right sequence. And then all of a sudden you have a blood disorder, and you have an immune disorder, and you have, anemia, when really you have a deficiency in B vitamins, right? The body didn't have the raw material it needed to do its job. It didn't assemble these things properly. And the expression of not being able to do that was labeled a disease. And so this is, I'm very consistent about this message, because very often, we have this viewpoint that disease, and pathology are something that's happening to us.
Right.
It's mostly something happening within us. Yeah. So I'm really happy to hear about your journey, man.
Would you also add like the SAMe and trimethylglycine, TMG?
I would add trimethylglycine. Yes. 2 capsules a day in the morning, 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams. Same thing. And SAMe, if you find that your mood is really flat, right? So mood numbness is something where you don't get really, 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 really happy. You don't get really, really, really pissed off. You just kind of, you're mood numb. If you don't have that, I wouldn't add the SAMe. Mood numbness is sadly something that people just stick with for decades. People will sometimes, I think it's better for people to go straight off a cliff, because then they seek help and they keep searching until they get back to great, right? But when you're good, when you're just good, you sleep okay. Your body morphic image is all right. Your short-term recall is decent. You feel like your energy level is all right. Then people sort of stay in what I call this mood numb band. But I want people to thrive.
Yes.
Right. And we don't usually seek that, like to thrive, the elation, the passion, the joy, the arousal, the libido, all the hell yeah, I won the lottery of emotions. And that's where I want people to really be able to exist. And I want them to be able to maintain those states for long periods of time. That's where the nutrients really come into play. That's where, the methylated vitamins really come into play.
I appreciate it. Gary, thank you again, my friend.
Great. So let's see if we can get first Mike back.
Yay. Hey, I didn't have
there
it.
He is. I know. We've talked before, so I knew it was working.
I'm the old guy. Man, I can't. That was like the old moment for me. Just real quick. I had stage 4 cancer, wasn't supposed to survive, survived, almost died from the treatments, had a supplement company bring me back. After I had such great results, I was able to recruit a couple of major doctors. One of them has about 100,000 patients and 10 practitioners in his practice. I really thrived in doing that. I actually worked in this practice for a while and loved it. I want to kind of do the same thing with you guys. Don't really care if there's I always love a financial benefit, but more about the mission. I just have always loved helping have answers for folks.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait to get to my 90-day follow-up to have the before and after results. My before results were pretty bad, which is a good thing. So just wanted to know how that kind of program worked for the doctors and what they could expect from it, and kind of.
Yeah. So so we have an amazing clinical team, and we're growing it as fast as we can. And I actually just met with our clinical team today in Aventura, Florida, and there is no uniformity to our clinical team. OBGYNs, neurologists, internists, all kinds of different, interdisciplines that just want to practice functional medicine and really believe in the body's capacity to heal itself, really believe in nutrient deficiencies, really believe that we can find the common link between a whole dispartite myriad of symptoms, which was basically the third thing that I talked to them about, approaching diagnosis. God didn't make a mistake. What nutrients could be missing from this body causing this condition to happen? And then finally, what is the common link between all of the conditions that this person has? What is the commonality between them all? And if we look at diagnosis that way, you will find that you very often find the singular cause of a multiplicity of issues. One of the reasons why I described that previous woman that was on, described some of the other things that were going on with her based on the symptom that she told me she had, were two reasons. Number one, I wanted her to realize that it very likely is what I'm discussing, because if you have slow gut motility, you have these unrelated issues. Most people don't link gut motility to my mood. Poor serotonin production to poor sleep. And so now they think they have a sleep disorder and a mood disorder and a gut issue and an autoimmune disease, when really they have a nutrient deficiency, right? There's a common link. And so if you send me an email to info@theultimatehuman.com, when we end this 90-day journey, if you're still so inclined, I'd love to make the connection between, our clinical teams and anything that you'd like to offer. I mean, we're trying to change the world, so all the help we can get.
I sent some over this morning. I'm just having products. I'm almost at my 90 days since I got my blood work, but I'm just, for some reason, there's like one guy I have to go through to talk to about ordering products, and I never can get them to return my call. I reached out to your team this morning, and they're helping me with that. So I'm ready to kind of officially start my 90 days with you, but I think there's some technical blurps going on that you guys are helping with. But yeah, so it was so cool to watch these traditional doctors. One of them's one of the number 2 guy for Blue Cross for different things in Georgia, seeing them just get fascinated by the science and fascinated by wellness, and so willing to, he with the company that I brought him, he ordered like $40,000 worth of products that day because he wanted all of his clients on it. So it'll be fascinating to watch you two kind of work. And I actually had to learn, what 5-LO and all that stuff was when talking about, COX-1 and COX-2 and
COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitors.
Talk to doctors about what this stuff did with inflammation, and try to. I just took my little. I have a death picture when I was 120 something pounds. I just show them that and say, "This was me. This is me now." But now I have my blood work, and several of them are friends. 3 of them I could call and get them on the phone. So I just want them to be able to see what you guys are doing to be able to help their patients, because it's so frustrating to me when I've been at the point where they were about to take my GI system out because it was inflamed and full of holes. Yeah. And a friend of mine, Steven Chernisky, and got him on the phone. He talked to the surgeon. The surgeon goes, "I don't know what he's talking about, but he's real excited about it. Whatever he sends you will be fine." A week later, they did a CAT scan. All that was gone. They didn't have finding out why. So it just that's always kind of frustrated me with the medical community. But I'm ready to promote you to all the people I know. I just got to get that 90-day before and after. And I'm telling you, I am so passionate about you without even getting the products. We did the Superhuman at a place. We're moving to Tampa in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So Superhuman
for chief of staff is, yeah.
I'm telling you, we went to the Superhuman for a month, and I felt so much better just from doing that.
It is unbelievable. Yeah. And all Superhuman's doing, for those of you guys that don't know, is just mimicking what we get from Mother Nature. I say this all the time. you got 100 grand lying around, by all means, buy a red light bed, PMF, and a Hypermax oxygen. I would buy that before I bought a Range Rover. You know, like I tell all these young kids and entrepreneurs that I counsel and that I speak to. I'm like, you guys are like flashing your Lamborghinis all over, Instagram. I would be buying things that served me, not things that were just an expression of my wealth. If you want to do anything, do things that are an expression of your health. But without the 100 grand lying around to do those things, all that these modalities are doing, and the best of the anti-aging and longevity modalities are harnessing what we get from Mother Nature. And, people really don't put the don't give Mother Nature the credit that it deserves. Just what taking your shoes off and touching the surface of the earth can do for you, what getting a natural sunlight can do for you, what breath work can do for you, the magnetism, the oxygen, the light we get from the sun. We're very photovoltaic beings. We require oxygen. We require magnetism, which you get from the earth. And so you can pay for convenience, or you can still access these things. And ancestrally, we were constantly in touch with, Mother Nature, with the earth. We were very much circadian creatures tied to the sleep-wake cycle of the sun. We got lots of natural sunlight. In fact, before sunscreens, there were lower actual rates of skin cancer. Before we even had sunscreens, 23 brands have been pulled off the shelf since 2019 or 2020 for cancer-causing ingredients. And these are cancer preventative creams. So it's really kind of interesting how our mentality has shifted to chemicals, synthetics, and pharmaceuticals in a way, from the basics of Mother Nature. 91 essential minerals, 2 essential fatty acids, 8 essential amino acids, grounding, sunlight, breath work, those kinds of foundational things that just really improve your health. So I'm excited to do this journey with you, and we'll make sure that we keep in touch.
I was gonna say, we definitely don't have the 100 grand, but I am gonna buy the entry level, $16,000 one to use that, because I felt so good about it, and it was it just helped me out so much, and I enjoyed I fell off the 10,000 steps. We're just chaotic right now. We're moving to Florida. When we get down there, I'll be ready for a dedicated 90 days, really a dedicated 6 months to get things changed around, and I promise you, I will promote you to the world, because
thank you so much.
I just had an idea to get sports figures, and you did that, and then let them recruit the doctors, because the doctors love the sports figures. And I cold called Dominique Wilkins years ago, and got him, and it was fun, and then the company was worthless, but it saved me from where I was at. But I have lots of faith in the program. I'm just ready to get rolling on it. And I encourage other ones out there. We are sacrificing buying a car. We're sacrificing a lot of stuff to do these blood tests. Mm-hmm. Everybody has the money to do it. It's just whether or not you're going to invest in yourself, like Gary said. And instead of using it for things, that's going to be where my money go. My money is going to go to you guys for the next 6 months, and hopefully.
Well, go to a good place, man. Look, if you really pay attention to what I'm saying, very often, I'm trying to get to the lowest common denominator. Like the 6 big tips I just gave about sleep, none of those will cost you anything. Yes, you can also add a Sleep 8 mattress. Yes, you could buy a I don't know what this costs, $220 Whoop, but those are the luxury items, things you can do for free: darken your room, contrast showers, breath work techniques, stopping your meals 2 hours before bedtime, limiting or eliminating alcohol. These kinds of things are life practices, grounding, breath work, sunlight. These are life practices that will not cost you anything. My message is, if you do come into some money, the best place to put it is back into things that are going to serve you. Serve the temple. It is astounding to me how many ultra wealthy patients I have, and many of them have done podcasts with me and very, very public about it. Steve Harvey, very wealthy guy. Stephen A. Smith, very wealthy. Dana White, he's a billionaire. They were suffering, right? And then I turned some of their fortune on their wealth, and put good routines in place for them, and now they're just thriving, and a lot of them have told their stories, and there's a couple big ones coming over the next month or two, so stay tuned.
Last thing,
Awesome.
I was supposed to die 19 years ago when I had cancer, and I'm leaving tonight to go watch my son graduate, and I hope this, and thankful for future results from you. I hope to see my grandsons graduate one day.
Absolutely.
I have to run so much for everything. I really do truly appreciate you. God brings people in your lives for certain reasons, and you just have to take a chance and go forward with it. Even if it's, we've been through struggles with trying to get stuff set up. It doesn't matter. I'm just ready to rock and roll. But you guys have a great month, and thank you so much for the time.
Thank you too. Thank you too. Oh, that was inspiring. That was great. Hi there.
Hey, Gary, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. So I have a quick, just kind of random question, and it's about milk. My son, one of my sons is allergic to dairy and nuts. And so forever I've been purchasing organic soy milk, organic coconut milk, that type of thing. And recently I double checked the labels and noticed that there is the cyanocobalamin in those. And so I'm wondering if you have milk recommendations, or if you have to make your own, or what the best route is.
So there are a couple of brands, Malk, M-A-L-K.
Okay.
There are a couple of raw nut milks. And when I say raw nut milks, they are nut milks that are just cold soaked, pressed nut milks. Also, raw coconut milks are really very good. I use coconut milk in a lot of things. You can use coconut milk in your coffee. Most people that have dairy allergies are allergic to something called beta casein, which is found in A1 cows, very little in A2 cows, not found in high amounts in raw dairy, but found in pasteurized and homogenized dairy. This Saturday, I'm actually going to my favorite Amish farm, and I'm bringing the film crew with me, because I really want to give them some love. I'm not saying that he should go back on dairy, but these are just foods in their natural form, right? Berries, grass-fed, grass-finished meats, pasture-raised chickens, free-range pasture-raised eggs, raw milks, raw dairy, raw yogurt. They're for animal consumption. But you'll find my refrigerator full of these things. I rarely have people over that have any gut issues from these things. Very often it's not the food, it's the distance from the food to the table. Right. Homogenization, pasteurization, the addition of seed oils, the addition of cyanocobalamin, thickening agents, preservatives, carrageenan, which is another big one to watch out for. And because we use something in this country called single dose toxicity to determine whether or not something is toxic for you. I have this battle on Instagram all the time with a lot of my biohacking friends, is that just because your body can tolerate something in a single dose does not mean that it can tolerate things in cumulative doses. And, cumulative dose toxicity is the repeated exposure to something. So if you brush your teeth for a few weeks or months, or maybe even a few years with fluoride toothpaste, you're going to die of cancer? Probably not. But if you're drinking fluoride and brushing with fluoride, and you're chewing fluoride gums, and you're doing regular high-dose fluoride treatments, and now all of a sudden you're getting higher levels of this chemical, which is a neurotoxin, then the cumulative dose is what can harm you. Same thing with like mercury. Nobody ever got mercury from a single piece of tuna fish. They got mercury poisoning from safe levels of mercury, and there is a safe level, quote unquote, safe level of mercury you're allowed to ingest. But it was the cumulative dose toxicity, sure, that led to these. So I want to give people simple, most of the time free ways to just slowly start to cultivate these micro assaults out of our system. I am most excited about building a chemical-free living brand that will be as or less expensive than commercial chemical-laden products that do just as good a job, that I can scientifically back and research, that are just going to slowly start to pull these mycotoxins out of the body. Because is washing your laundry in Tide going to kill you and your family? No. Is using certain countertop cleaners going to harm your family? Probably not. But when you start stacking up the dishwasher soaps and the countertop cleaners and the laundry detergents and the fluoride in the water and the chlorine in the water and the microplastics, which I've been down the rabbit hole of microplastics a lot lately, it's this sort of slow, death by 1,000 paper cuts. And if we can live our life with no interruption, we don't have to move to the mountains, we don't have to spend tens of thousands of dollars, and just make a shift in our choices, but no shift in the outcomes. We still have clean laundry, clean countertops, clean dishes. Those are the kind of things that I really think society will adopt, and we can make a major impact on people. Because I really feel like we don't fix the food supply, we'll never fix chronic disease in this country.
Right, right.
I feel like I went on a major tangent, so sorry about that. Sorry.
All good. It's all great information, and thank you so much for your moving forward with trying to get more quality products out there and the information around it.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question.
You bet.
All right, awesome.
Hey guys. What's up, man?
Hey,
How
dude.
we doing?
I'm doing amazing.
Cool. Good to talk to you again. Hey, I got a question on fasting, but just a real quick follow-up to the lady you just talked to. I wrote down what you said, the milk, raw nut milk, raw coconut milk. What's your opinion on oat milk? Because I hear mixed reviews on oat milk. Is that?
I'm not a big fan of oat milk. And the reason is you have to consider the source of most oats. Right. So one of the things that's not on the label, is what oats are harvested or grown in, right? That when the oat milks were one of the highest concentrations of something called glyphosates, because most of the oats are not organically grown, they're commercially grown, and then they're commercially processed. So I'm a fan of nut milks, the raw nut milks. So when you spin the container around, you should be able to read and understand each of the ingredients that's on there. I personally, Paul Saladino, myself, there's lots of us that are not fans of oat milk. Oat milk is not a health food. I prefer natural milks that are things like almond milks in their natural form, coconut milks in their natural form. These can be amazing for you. Usually you want to look for expeller pressed or cold expeller pressed. And then make sure that the ingredients don't start to have, it's where they take something that's fairly healthy, like a coconut milk, and then they add a filler, a binder, a thickening agent, and a preservative, and then a synthetic form of B vitamin called cyanocobalamin. And then they want to put on the label that it's fortified or enriched. So now it's got folic acid. And these all decorate the label for most of society because you pick it up and it says natural blank milk, fortified, enriched. And so all of these little buzzwords that connotate something that's healthy are actually meant to mask a chemical synthetic that's in there, which is sadly, I mean, the food industry is a for-profit industry too, right? And they work on the messaging, right? So now that people are on the GMO foods, they're calling them bioengineered. So now you can get away with saying something's non-GMO if you disclose that it's bioengineered. Well, listen, we're not citizen scientists out here. I want people to be citizen scientists, but it's it's kind of sad. So my preference would be, if you don't want dairy, which is fine, find a natural nut milk. MALK, Malk, makes a whole line of these, and it's available in most grocery stores. The 4 big things to look out for, which are fillers, binders, preservatives, and thickening agents. Carrageenan, chemical words that you can't pronounce. I could give you a whole list of those, but you know what they are. Polysorbate 80, the chemicals. Any kind of food dyes, or the words fortified or enriched.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, my question was on the fasting. So we did the 3-day fast. A few months ago with you. I think at the time you mentioned you wanted to do it like quarterly or something, and then
we're going to do it on the July 26th. June. I'm sorry, we're doing it again on June 26th.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And then now you mentioned something. I think I heard you right. You said water mimicking fast. Is that?
So there's something called a fast mimicking diet.
Fast
and a water fast. We're going to do a water fast. And we mimic fasting going into the diet. So fasting does not have to be you stop eating and you start drinking water. So we, in fact, the evidence is to the contrary. What you don't want to shock the body too much. So what we did on the last fast, and we'll do it again on this fast, is we mimic fasting, meaning we reduce our caloric intake and our total intake of solid foods day 1. So what we did in the last fast was on day one, we took Perfect Aminos in the morning. And we always kept the Baja Gold Salt, so we were mineralized. And then at noon, we had a bowl of bone broth. And then at 6 p.m., we had a bowl of bone broth. And by the way, I offered organic, vegetarian, vegan, and also animal-based versions of this. And in fact, yesterday I had the founder, Justin Mayers, the founder and owner of Kettle and Fire, was on my podcast. It's going to air in, I don't know what, like 2 weeks. So it'll be out in about 2 weeks. Fascinating podcast. About how they harvest the bones, the amount of time that they boil these things down for 24 hours, how they extract the collagen and gelatin from them. Super, super healthy, fully organic. And so we used fast mimicking to get into the fast. So we actually took in calories on day one, just less calories and no solid food. And then we went to 2 days of just water. And then we came out on bone broths and steamed veggies, coming out of the fast, and then back to solid food on the 4th day. And the majority of people, some people went through caffeine withdrawal, and that, but we allowed, caffeine, just black coffee or the acid kicking alkalizer, in the coffee, which even has a little bit of MCT in it. And we allowed Perfect Aminos, and the Baja Gold Salt. And I would say that 90% of the folks finished the fast, and 75 to 80% of them had a very positive experience. Some people that got headaches, didn't, but that's also a detoxification effect. But the vast majority of people had profoundly positive experiences, found that energy spike, in growth hormone. And I really wanted to create that community and kind of be with everybody through the whole thing so that people would just stick to it. I just would focus on just get to bed tonight,
Yeah, it did help my gut a lot.
Yeah, amazing. Because, your body is very resourceful, right? And what it will do is it will clean out the trash to survive, right? It goes after senescent cells, which are commonly called zombie cells. It breaks them apart and turns them into amino acids. It improves cellular autophagy, which is the turnover of cells. It raises your growth hormone levels. It improves your insulin sensitivity because you don't have much blood sugar. So you might as well be sensitive to what little you have. So it improves insulin sensitivity. Really, really some amazingly profound effects. I mean, the human body is so fascinating. If we learn how to tap into it, it has a pharmacy. It has healing compounds. It has endorphins. It just has so many amazing ways to heal itself. We just have to learn how to, go out and harness those things. So 26, we're going to do it again. I'm pretty excited about it.
Cool. Nice.
Awesome, guys. Great talking to you both.
All right. See you.
Okay, we have a lot of hands raised, so I'm going to try to get through them all. We try to keep it to one question because I'm long-winded as it is, and I really want to try to serve the Rule Bracket community. So let's fire it up. We'll do more rapid fire, one question at a time. Hey, Nathan. Is he muted?
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Jerry. Thank you so much for doing this, man.
Of course.
I really appreciate you taking time out to do this.
I appreciate you being on every time. We talk every time.
Yeah, I know. I love talking to you, man. I think that you're so smart. So I love getting ideas from you.
Thank you.
So my question is, so I'm looking into buying a red light panel, and because I'm laying down. Because I'm not able to sit up and I'm laying down in bed, prone, do you recommend getting a half body, full body?
Yes.
Or
these are full body panels, and they actually attach to an overhead and has wheels that go under the bed, and then the panels go above the bed. And then it has hydraulics that move it up and down. So basically you would, wheel this thing against the bed. It would be over top of you. And then you press a button, and the panels come down on top of you, and you can bring them as close as you want, and they'll go from the tip of your forehead down almost to the top of your knees. I mean, they're pretty long panels.
Oh, sweet. So
and they're very powerful.
Is there a certain brand that I should look for that that
Yeah, I manufacture one
reads-
called the 10X light panel. It's just as powerful as our red light bed. Yeah, if in fact, someone on my team put they're sending the link into the chat right
Okay.
now, so you can look at the red light panels.
And is one panel enough, or do I need more than one panel?
Well, you can save money by getting one panel and using it more than once a
Yeah.
day, right?
Oh,
If
okay.
you want to conserve time, you buy the 2 panels and hang them both, and it'll just cover a wider area. But if you have time, then you can save some money and only get a single panel.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great talking to you again. Hi there. Can you tell me their names?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, Gary.
Yes,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great. This is my first time actually talking to you, so I'm excited.
Okay.
Well, so my question is, I did my gene test and I have a lot of sensitivity, so I feel like a lot of conversation already relates to what I maybe have, but I have food intolerance, food sensitivities, and I tried red light therapy, and last time I had very bad experience, so I don't know what's going on. So I'm thinking maybe I need to try heavy metal toxicity test or sensitivity test, because before I used to have anxiety, so I'm taking TMG. And then I was thinking that it could be my hormones, but then I was listening to a podcast with Dr. Gandhi, and he was talking about heavy metals in your oral cavity, and I have a crown on number 19.
Oh,
So
that's the same one that I had.
yeah, so I was thinking, okay, could this relate? Because my left side, like I have a lot of like muscle tension, and I'm trying to do all of these stretches every day, but I don't know if it's relates to the hormones, because when I looked at the chart, it was relating to the pituitary gland, and then pituitary gland secretes certain hormones. So I was just, so that's kind of my story.
Yes.
But
so let's just back it up and try to narrow things down a little bit. I'm actually trying to pull up an image on my phone. Where is it? Here it is. I'll show you guys an image real quick. So this is, I'm going to hold it up. That one? Oh, do you want to just zoom in on that? I don't know if so my cameraman's going to zoom in on this. I just want you to see the innervation of the nerves in the jaw to the brain. Yeah. So that's an image with your teeth and your jaw bones removed, showing you the amount of nervous innervation in the skull. Right? So you can see all of these little tiny pathways. Now, what these end up being is they end up being super highways for pathogens, right? So the notion that the mouth is not connected to the rest of the body is a complete fallacy. What's a really interesting exercise to try to find out if it's your oral cavity and the metals in your oral cavity or something else is there are very defined maps based on the actual tooth meridian. So you can look in your mouth and you can say, okay, I've got these back 2 teeth. They have cavities in them. That's number 19 and number 20. And then you can look at the tooth meridian for number 19 and 20. By meridian, I don't necessarily mean the Chinese meridian, although it covers that too. I mean, these are nerve meridians, right? And you will be able to pinpoint the location of the cavity and the the ailment that you're having. But what you're saying is very common. Just listening to you talk about the gut issues that you have, the food sensitivities that you have, which I doubt that you actually have food sensitivity. I bet you have poor gut motility, and the fact that you've also had anxiety. It's the same issue that was on the phone earlier that beautiful young woman with her husband on that was talking about her anxiety and her gut issues and poor sleep. And these things all have common origins. So when you talk about all of these conditions that you're having, they very likely have a very common origin. So there's two things that I would do. Number one, I would actually look at those 2, 3. You can just Google teeth meridians. And these free charts will pop up on Google, and you can actually look at the tooth and you can trace it to the ailment. Now, I had exactly the 19th tooth meridian: anterior shoulder pain, lower lobe pain in my lung, and numbness and itching in my toe. In females, they're traced to different organs in the body, and it will be very specific. So that's a great way to find out whether or not getting those metal fillings out would have a profound effect, and it can. And then the second thing is, if we can fix the gut motility, usually we fix the food sensitivity, the food allergies, and a lot of the mental issues, anxiety, anxiousness, ADD, ADHD, OCD, manic depression, bipolar, those sorts of conditions. You're muted again.
So when I used my red light therapy, I had a bad experience, and a lot of in my forehead.
You had a bad experience in your forehead. Okay, so that's super rare. And I would actually, who was it? Was it My Light?
No, I don't think no, it was from a different.
So, what's interesting about red light therapy, not all red light therapy is the same. And unfortunately, a lot of manufacturers do not have the nanometer wavelengths that they claim to have in their products. It's very easy to manufacture cheap red lights. It's actually not the visible light that you're after. It's the invisible light. And a high quality manufacturer like Aspen Laser, Theralight 360, Da Vinci, they will make these bulbs with very specific wavelengths. Remember, when you say something is infrared, that is a spectrum of invisible light, right? An infrared sauna, for example, is high nanometer wavelength in infrared light. That'll make you sweat because that light will excite a water chromophore, vibrate it, create friction, and make you sweat. The lower end of that same spectrum, 910, 860, are very therapeutic. So if you actually had a negative response to red light therapy, my guess would be that it was a red light therapy device that did not have the therapeutic wavelengths. It had some of these other wavelengths in the same spectrum, but that were causing things like heat rather than causing photobiomodulation, the light response that we want. And unfortunately, I've seen a lot of that. Before I actually settled on the red light bed that I have and the red light bed that we carry at 10X Health, I actually nanometer wavelength tested and what's called milliwatts of irradiance tested these lights. I know I'm boring you to tears, but it's very sensitive equipment. And I checked the manufacturer specs on some of these red lights. You would be astounded how many of these beds that are $100,000 do not have the nanometer wavelengths that they advertise or the milliwatts of irradiance that they advertise. And when you are trying to mimic healthy rays from the sun, those nanometers matter. There's a significant difference in the impact of our cells on light spectrum we are meant to be exposed to and light spectrums we are not meant to be exposed to. That would be my guess.
So I guess what direction would I go then? Biological
So here's the 3 things I would do. Number 1, I would begin to supplement for deficiency according to your gene test. Number 2, I would Google teeth meridians, and I would see if you can look in your own mouth, just open your mouth and look in, and look at the teeth that have the metal fillings, find those on the meridian map and see if that maps directly to the symptomology that you have. And if it does, I would really seek the help of a biologic dentist like Dr. Gandhi. And then the last thing I would do is I would really check to see if you have a high quality. Unfortunately, price matters in red light because those lasers, matter. And I would check to see if you have a high quality manufacturer for the red light you're exposed to.
Okay.
All right. I got to jump to the next question, but it was so nice talking to you. All right. I'm going to try to speed it up to get to everyone.
Hey,
Hey, man.
Honored to talk to you. I was one of those guys that made a lot of money in the digital marketing space. Went and sold my car, bought the whole Superhuman protocol. Huge follower.
Awesome, man.
just sent, I've been doing affiliate and digital marketing for 15 years. I just sent over a resume for one of your positions.
Oh, awesome.
I've been so moved by your project that I don't even care if I had to come and help you for free for a while to get on the team. I'm so moved by what you're doing. It's made such a huge impact in my life, my wife's life, that I won't
Wow.
take no for an answer to come over and join your team. So I did send an email over to careers and info at the
Can we
ultimate
make
with my
sure that
resume.
that email doesn't get lost? That's amazing, man. That's really kind of you. Thank you for that. By the way, this is how we've recruited most of our team, you know, because we pay them, by the way, not for free, but because we want people that want to be part of a mission, part of a movement. And that means a lot to me that you said that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm looking forward to hearing back on that. My question is really around, so I saw Dana White's video and that's what moved me, probably like a lot of people. And I know he did this water fast that he touted about. And then I've been getting videos, and I got one video from a cardiologist in Florida that talked about Boston University just released this 7-day water fast that sheds cancer cells due to stem cell generation.
Yep.
That kind of thing. I know you're pushing a 3-day water fast. I don't want to fast, but for the for the cancer cell shedding, because I'm always on a computer, I'm on computer 19 hours a day. You know, I always probably get too many EMFs, which I spoke to the PureWave founders. They're two amazing people.
Yeah.
Hours talking to Tony and James.
Oh, Tony is amazing. So is James.
Oh,
Yes.
so nice. So nice.
I bring their product with me everywhere.
Yep. So my question is it at what point does your body start to shed those cancer cells? Is it more beneficial to do a 7-day water fast, or do you achieve the same therapeutic, you know?
You know, the research that I've looked at is doing, you know, multiple shorter water fasts throughout the year achieves the same kind of benefit. So either a prolonged, intense 7-day fast, which is, you know, very, very hard for some people, especially when they're active. So without a specific condition, you know, my recommendation would be that you do a 3-day water fast. Like a lot of people that are on here now did the 3-day water fast with me originally, and they're about to do it with me again. Because we do it every 3-4 months, ish. And if you get to day 4 and want to run another 3 days, then by all means, it doesn't mean you have to end when we end. You know, I want to respect the fact that most people are, you know, career professionals, and they got kids and they got lives and they got travel. And so I would rather people fit something in to their life that's going to have these profound effects than say, I don't have 7 days, I don't have a week to commit to this, because I will lose 70% more people. And so, you know, my message is for the masses. So I think that the majority of us, you know that we'll benefit from a 3-day water fast. If you want to run another 4 days at the end, then by all means. It really begins at hour 72 is where you start to have the spike in natural stem cells. And that's where you start to have the anti-carcinogenic effects, where because what you're doing when your body starts to consume senescent cells that are become metabolically unhealthy, it will consume the least healthiest cells first. And then what it will do is it will start going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the senescent cells that are slightly better functioning, but not as good as the cell next to it. Cell that is slightly even better functioning, but not as well as the cell next to it. Then eventually it will turn on itself, right? Yeah. As a matter of survival. And so if it's the oncological benefits that you're after, you want to get really deep into that senescent cell cycle. But if you clean those senescent cells out on a regular basis, you know, every 3-4 months, right? That alone has profound effects on longevity. And if you actually look at the history of fasting, you know, nearly every religion in the world, Judaism, Buddhism, Muslim, Catholics, you know, they have fasted throughout history. And the majority of the reason they fast was for health and religious reasons. They said it made you more aware, it made you more spiritual, it was for health reasons, it was a way to pay homage. And so it's really one of the best ancient ways to heal the body. But 3 days gives you plenty of benefit.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Awesome, brother. All right, we'll fire off a couple of more. 6:14. Still got 15 minutes.
Hey Gary, how you doing?
Hey, great to see you again.
Yeah. I'm just loving everything that you're going. The voices are everywhere out there, and I feel it's a truth. I feel your passion, so
Thank
it
you.
makes it easier. And I just real
Hold
quick,
on, you got your Ultimate Human shirt on?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, dude. Yes.
yeah, and I got 10 acres, so I get up in the morning in my underwear, but I don't have any neighbors. And
Yeah.
I ground, sit down, grounded, do the breath work, get the first light, and then go in cold shower.
I love that, man. God bless you,
Yeah,
man. That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm getting people jacked up on doing it as well. You had mentioned that you were going to go do some laps last time. And I was wondering what your ideas were or your thoughts were on the pool chlorine. And
yeah, that's the only thing that bothers me. So in my I live in one of the greenest buildings in Miami. It's called the Grove at Grand Bay, and they built it with recycled materials. You know, the majority of it. It's very, very green. If you actually look down off the top of my balcony, all the rooftops are covered with greenery. So they use a saline system, right? Now every few weeks, because it is commercially available, they do use small amounts of chlorine, but the ppm is very, very low in our pool. I'm otherwise not a big fan. I have a steam room and a sauna in my house, and I actually filter my steam down to 0.1 micron, so I'm not breathing fluoride gas, chlorine gas, microplastics, pharmaceuticals. A whole different world steaming in something like that than it is commercial steam rooms, which are just vaporizing municipal water, which has, you know, fluoride and chlorine and whatever else is in there, and it's turning it into a gaseous state. That's why I'd say if you're in a public place like a gym or a spa at you know, a nice resort, very often when I ask, some of the higher end spas in some of the higher end hotels do filter the water for the steam room, which is amazing. But it's always safe to use the, you know, the dry saunas.
Right.
So my preference would be to do that. But yes, here they don't use bromides or chlorines. They have a salt filtration system.
Yeah, I have a salt pool, but it still generates chlorine, but you know, it's not as much. The other thing was I've tried, I know you guys, the info at Ultimate is like overloaded, but I'm trying to find out, you'd recommended a brand of Lion's Mane, and I'm a big ozone guy from construction. And I wanted to know the name of the purifier that you do that has the ozone option.
Yes. So it's on my website. So you can go to theultimatehuman.com, and if you go to shop, I put that air purifier right on the website. It filters down to 0.1 micron, and it has an ozone setting, which is the best thing in the world. It kills everything. I mean, literally will kill mold on the back of your drywall.
That's what I originally got.
A wood frame home, it will kill termites on the foundation.
I actually, was my first exposure. There was a black mold, and my father had a bowling alley, and I put that stuff on, it turned it white. I mean, when it goes through the drywall, it's just amazing. So
yeah, it really is. And it's hard. Well, it's not harmless to you, but to be in the room while it's running.
Right.
As soon as it goes out and the place airs out, it's absolutely harmless. And you can literally smell the difference in the air.
Oh, I know.
It smells so clean. So if there are people on here at Rural Breakfast that are living in contrast environments, humid, hot, cold environments. By the way, when it's cold outside and it's hot inside, same thing, right? You have anything that creates the moisture barrier. Then you know those filters are great.
And what was
not cheap? They're about $1,100, but you could even buy one and put it in your living room for a few days, move it to the bedrooms, move it to the kids' rooms, and put it in an area where the family spends the most amount of its time or where you sleep. And then when you leave, run those ozone settings, and it'll create an indefinite amount of ozone.
What about the Lion's Mane? What brand of Lion's Mane do you recommend?
Well, you guys put the brand of Lion's Mane into my team is going to put it into the it's not Ancient Nutrition. There's a brand of Lion's Mane that I have in the cabinet in there. They're going to text it into the chat for you.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. Thank you for the kind words. Oh, yes.
Yeah, baby. Hold on.
Human swag
I got
challenge.
it top and bottom. So remember when I first met you on Zoom, it was ER shred. Now
Yes.
I'm changing my profile on Zoom to this right here. I
The
already took
ultimate
a picture.
human.
I'll
Oh,
tell you
that's
what.
so awesome. Thank you.
So listen, I want to express gratitude, not just for you, but that you have put together a group of people who have a commonality, and that is to live better and be healthier. Because in the communities, there are so many questions asked and answered
I
almost
know.
right away. There are so many strong people who have the knowledge, and I'm not able to go as often as I'd like. So my first question about supplements has already been answered. I'm going to go with Thorne until I can afford to get my DNA, and I already have a strong suspicion, but I'd like to know what's red and yellow. Secondly, I'd like to know about the adrenals. I had a full Chem 24 done on my blood months ago. Is the information for my adrenals in that Chem 24? Because I'm going to go to the doc soon, and I'd like to ask her to draw something for me specific so that I can come back and ask the question and know what to supplement.
Yes.
My depression sometimes drops me so fast. And I'm caring for my mom. She's 90. So we've had some really big issues lately. And I just need to be able to stay level as best as I can.
Yeah.
It's to be good for her.
Yeah. So remember, when depression comes and goes without an external stimulus, this is a rise and fall generally in serotonin. This is a crash and spikes in serotonin.
Yeah.
And that serotonin, remember, is methylated in our gut.
Okay.
And what happens is we burn through the B vitamin stores, and now we can't convert tryptophan to serotonin, and we feel depressed. And then what we make the mistake of doing is trying to tie that to our outside environment. And when you have a lot going on, like you have a sick loved one that you're caring for, and you develop something called caregiver syndrome, whether you know it or not. Caregiver syndrome is where you very nobly put everyone else in your life ahead of yourself. Right. And I always go back to the analogy that we're told to put our oxygen mask on before we assist our own children.
Right.
It is okay to take time for self-care. It is okay for you to be selfish for a short period of time during the day so that you can be selfless with the rest of your day.
I'm doing some.
Doing
some.
Good.
But I just then there's
my staff knows that they schedule my travel and my meetings, as tense as my schedules are, around sleep and workouts.
Okay.
So I schedule my sleep, my workouts, and then I schedule meetings, travel, rural breakfast, all of those things, or else I'm not really in service to you.
Right.
And I'm not in service to humanity either. I did 9 cities in 11 days the other day. And one of the things I posted about was getting 100% sleep scores and 97% recovery, and how I was still engaging in self-care with a fast-paced schedule. Didn't have early morning meetings. I didn't have late night dinners, and I never skipped a workout. And I tried to be consistent about my bedtimes. And so simple things like that make a big difference in how well you can care for your mom. But I would really suggest that you get the Thorne B complex and 5-MTHF, even before you can afford to take the test.
Okay, so I'm already on a B complex. It's like $30 a month. Then
Perfect.
I'm on the D3 and K2, which is methylated both by solar ray. I'll go to Thorne and get the 5-MTF and see if that makes a difference. And then because even now, like I just spent $1,800 on neurology chiropractic, and I'm in a far less pain. And then I treated myself to this guy. Do you know him?
Who is that?
Dr. Lippman.
Oh, yeah.
I got on his Theralite 360 bed for one session. It was a special.
Yes, I know him well.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's my friend. And I'm like, he's everybody's friend. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's amazing.
So I have been doing some things for myself, but then when things get challenging for her and she's a fall risk, I have to stop what I'm doing for me. And it has to be like sometimes 24/7. And then if I'm able to go to work, I go to work. And, so I just need to stay more level. And I keep going back to all these different pieces of information. And somebody had said something about I had flat adrenals, but I think it's more in the gut, like you said.
Adrenals get flat because of the stress that you put your body under, right?
Okay.
I mean, what happens when we don't have energy? We run on cortisol, we run on adrenaline,
Right.
we run on something called catecholamines, and this eventually burns the adrenals out.
Okay.
Right? I mean, the reason why fighters don't feel pain during competition is because of adrenaline.
Okay.
Right? The reason why they have a hyper sense of awareness because of
Okay.
adrenaline and catecholamines. And so when we are exposed to these for prolonged periods of time, stress, and then we are also not engaging in self-care, it has catastrophic consequences.
Okay.
If you find that your adrenals are compromised, there is something called neuromedulla complex, which is amazing for elevated cortisol and for storing healthy adrenal function. When you take 2 capsules of this at night, and it's not my product, but when you take 2 capsules of this at night, you literally wake up happy. It's unbelievable.
That's what, see, that might have been your podcast I was listening to. So, neuromedulla, ADULA.
Neuro, N-E-U-R-O.
I got it.
Medulla,
Medulla.
Yeah,
Like the
medulla,
brain.
like medulla oblongata, MEDULLA, neuromedulla.
Medulla. And it's a compound.
Mm-hmm.
That I bought.
Neuromedulla complex. I forget who makes
Complex.
it.
And so
Yeah.
do I look for a certain brand?
Phenomenal.
Okay. All right.
Great.
Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank
let's do 2 more. Rapid fire ones. Great seeing you. Thanks for buying the swag. I love that you guys are so appreciative, man. This is like, I get more out of this than you guys do. Hey, man.
Hey, very nice chatting with you. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Of
Really
course.
appreciate it. Quick question regarding static electricity. I actually posted it in the group as well. I suffer from that so bad. So even when I'm going to Costco, I'm afraid to open those refrigerators because sometimes I actually see the sparkle that bad.
Yes.
So is the grounding like taking my shoes off and grounding with the earth for 6-7 minutes, whatever, is that gonna help or no?
Yes, no question that will help. Some people actually will store more static electricity than others. Some people have their bodies are a lot more can store a lot more electrical energy than other people, and they discharge when they ground. Very safe way. You will never have it discharge if you actually take your shoes off and touch dirt, soil, grass, sand. And then you will see that you have significantly less of that. You can also sleep on a PEMF mat, pulse electromagnetic field mat, and you'll find that it brings that electrical field right back down to baseline.
Perfect. Because even when I'm going when I was going with the kids when they were younger, we were going to the park. I was afraid when they were going down the slides to catch them.
Because it would shock
sometimes you. Let them go,
They're like, Dad.
Exactly. And one more quick question. Regarding sleep, I'm a very light sleeper. My wife is a deep sleeper. I'm light sleeper. I'm trying to do everything you recommended.
Excellent.
However, on my Oura Ring, every single time I'm checking my stats in the morning, even if I have everything in the blue, the restfulness is halfway. Like I'm restless. I'm not exactly sure what to do about it.
You would be an excellent candidate for BioOptimizer's magnesium product. Yes, because when you stay asleep, but you stay in a light sleep cycle, not a deep or a REM cycle, that is generally one of the magnesium deficiencies and one of the 7 magnesiums. So I would take that BioOptimizer's magnesium breakthrough, and I would take 2. There's 2 tiny little scoopers in there. Take 2 of those scoops in a very small amount of water at night, and see if your sleep score doesn't immediately improve.
Awesome.
Like literally immediately the next day it should improve.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You got it. All right, one more, guys. Is it Susie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, I can now.
Hey, okay, I'm so sorry. I was actually I run a doggy daycare and a dog kennel, which kind of I love it, and I've got my new little puppy Phoebe, And this kind of relates to my question is that I hire a pesticide. By the way, thank you for your time. I just wanted to get through it because I know you have a busy schedule, but thank you, thank you, thank you.
You are welcome.
So I hire this is Phoebe. I hire a pesticide company. He's my little angel baby, and I get our yard sprayed. We're on about a half acre, and we have tons of bugs like mosquitoes, ants, spiders, you name it. And they spray this stuff called like Demon Max or something. And I was looking at the chemicals, and they're freaking horrible. But if I don't do that, then my dogs get fleas. So I do have like a somewhat holistic alternative to killing nature.
Yeah. So, so the same company that, makes, Baja Gold sea salt has a sister company called Sea Agri Solutions. So if you
would you mind spelling that?
So go to Baja Gold's website, BAJA Gold's website.
Okay. I've actually got that salt in my kitchen. Anything you say to buy, I do.
Oh, so,
I just got my water filter delivered too.
Now you just need the Ultimate Human t-shirt. So
I know I really do need it. Like, look, it's sitting over there in the corner. We got our
oh my God, I'm so happy for you, man. That is so I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. That'll make a difference in your dogs' lives too. But they have their sister company is Sea Agri, which you can get to from their site. And I believe, if I recall correctly, that they also have they have fertilizer projects for sure, but they also make clean pest control products, as clean as you can make them.
Amazing. So is that be something that I could like wear? Because I've got a whole backpack sprayer because it's such a large area. Is that some like solution I can mix up in a big batch?
It does to me too. You're into the fringes of my under. I've looked into them, and I'm a huge fan of their company. I know their fertilizers are amazing, and they're all naturopathic. In fact, I know farmers.
Amazing.
But look into their pest control products.
Thank you so much. And one other part to that, if you don't mind me bugging you for another minute, is so along with the pest control, the reason why I was looking into it is because we eventually want to start a family. And I'm a little overweight at the moment. So I started Tirzepatide. And I'm trying to like remove all of the toxins that I can, filter our water. How I know there isn't much study on like being on that peptide. Is that going to like do any maybe potential damage for like pregnancy or?
No, it shouldn't do any damage to pregnancy. Just remember that on Tirzepatide, which is Mounjaro, right, versus semaglutide, which is a Wegovy and Ozempic. This is a GLP-1 inhibitor and a GDP inhibitor, both. And so what you want to be cautious of is that a third of the weight that you lose, if you don't weight train, will be lean muscle mass. So it's really important to do some weight-bearing exercise. Curl some weights, lift some weights, air squats, static plank holds. Keep the body under stress, or do 20 to 30 minutes of weight-bearing exercise a day, so that you keep your muscle mass up and you lose fat mass and not lean muscle mass. The other thing you can do is take a peptide. Peptides are amino acid peptides. My favorite is Sermorelin, and this is muscle protective. It's a growth hormone releasing peptide. It is not growth hormone, but what it does is it causes your pituitary to increase its production of growth hormone. It's anti-sarcopenic, which is muscle wasting. And so you protect the muscle, weight-bearing exercise, and a peptide, and then you just lose fat. Because everybody, when they say they want to lose weight, what they really mean is I want to lose fat. They don't want to lose muscle and lean body mass. And so that would be my recommendation.
And so that's Sermorelin, not Ipo or Ipamorelin, right?
It comes in Sermorelin, Ipamorelin. The two are compounded together.
Okay, because I did see something. It's a wellness clinic, because they were recommending glycine or something to add in.
Glycine's not a growth hormone peptide. Just Sermorelin and Ipamorelin is excellent for protecting muscle.
Got it. Okay. And so if I add that in and start weight training, because all I've been doing is walking, and I've lost 3 pounds so far this week. I'm excited. And it's wild how just taking that has removed so much of the food chatter. Like I've been such
it'll
a
shut your
binge
food
eater.
cravings off like that.
Yeah, and like I honestly, I mean, it's kind of very humbling to say, but I'll eat like a nice healthy dinner and do great all day, and then literally stop by Subway like a robot and eat a foot long, and then go next door and get ice cream after I've just spent all this time and effort trying to do good for myself. And it's almost like this addiction that it's really hard for me, to be honest.
Behavioral
So
food eating. Yep.
Yeah, but
Dopamine
anyways,
is the main driver of behavior. Yep.
well, whatever it is, Subway unfortunately does it for me.
Yeah. Well, I love
But
your little
very
friends. You know, thank you for participating, and thank you for the kind words. This is amazing, guys. I mean, thank you all so much. It's always such a pleasure to do these chats. These actually are chicken soup for my soul. I'm on Telegram now. This is going to be a public hangout with everybody, but you Rule Breakfast will be the first ones in there. My team will put the link into the chat for you guys. We are not going to stop doing these. You know, please help the community, you know,